All right. Super duper good morning, everybody from Spain. I guess it's afternoon in India. Thank you, Zeenat, Pratama, Renu, Shelly, Rita, Saloni, Radha, Yogesh. Lovely, lovely. Okay, let's get into the questions. You're beautiful and your country. Oh, so sweet. Thank you. Purvi is asking, can the creator mode and receiver mode go together at the same time? If I'm creating right now, am I not in receiving mode right now? Purvika, it's like breathing in and breathing out. None of them can be done exclusively. So in my opinion, they have to go in tandem. What does that mean? For my creative process to work beautifully, one of the things I do is I keep reading, researching, podcast watching, courses, development, all of it I will keep putting in. And what happens is over time it starts to assimilate into something that starts to feel like an original content. So it's like you take, I always say, content is like एक गाजर डाला, एक बीटरूट डाला, एक एप्पल डाला, एक मिक्सी में और ब्रर करके एक ओरिजिनल जूस बन गया, correct? That's pretty much how content creation works. So you take from the world whatever it is. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? So any invention in the world, if you see, how do inventions work? Even every scientist must have taken what the previous scientist had created. Let's say, take example of electricity. So a scientist created electricity. Somebody created the microwave frequency, somebody created the oven, somebody created the toaster, somebody created the computer, somebody created the fan, somebody created the light. But the electricity was the thread of all of these electronics, right? So same way, what happens with us is we keep taking material and we keep assimilating it, adding our own tadka, our own flavor, own tadka, own flavor, and that's what makes original content. Original content actually doesn't mean that the entire thing is original. Original content basically means, if you know, there are only 5-6 love stories in the world. वही same 6 कहानियों को new packaging. So every time you new package a content, that becomes OG. Okay, the original. Okay, so see if you can start to understand the difference between, or rather start to understand that the creative process and the receiving process are one process only. They are not two separate processes. Yeah. Copy beautifully. Copy is not the best word. I always like to say, when you take from 1, it's copying. When you take from 5, it's research. है ना? Okay. Healy Fast is asking, 10 months into my marriage, caring for my in-laws with love. Father-in-law has Parkinson's. Mother-in-law listens to outsiders, stays cold and distant. It deeply hurts me. We still haven't found a new home. It hurts me. I can't read your full question, Healy Fest, but I guess you're struggling. You're struggling because you have become the primary caregiver of all of this new family that you have adopted thanks to the husband, and it is that you are feeling a bit overused, maybe taken for granted, and that's what happens, while we do our duty. It's very important that we take care of ourselves and the people that we are benefiting take care of us. So if you're looking after your father-in-law and your mother-in-law is benefiting in your looking after, then she has to actually acknowledge this. And if she's not acknowledging it, at least the spouse to whose parents they are must acknowledge it. And when we don't get the right acknowledgement, that's when the problem starts. It's not that you're not willing to do. After all, his parents are somebody that he loves and you love him, so you want to do for them. But when you start to feel like everyone's only taking you for granted and that there is no appreciation, rather you're being criticized for what you should be appreciated for, then it really hurts us and it leaves us feeling damaged and wounded. So a very important conversation to have with your husband is, what is my duty? What are the things you're expecting? Like I call it, one is the non-negotiables, one is the nice to haves. For my father, please do this. what would be lovely is if you could also add this, and if you do this, then I can do this for you. And so I remember at one point I used to love going out for meals, right? So my husband and I made this deal that I'll do this for him, and then every Wednesday he'll take me out for dinner, or I'll do this for him and every morning we will do coffee together. And whatever I needed, he met my needs, I met his needs, and it became very easy for us to live in the joint family that we did because I was feeling not neglected or unheard. I was feeling like, okay, this is his expectations of me, but this is my expectations of him, and let's see if we can match it. Got it? So I didn't get to read your whole question, but you know where I'm coming from. It's just about having honest conversations, and I think it's also very important to let people know that if you're not going to be able to compensate, then I'll do to the extent that I choose to. Then don't expect me to become an unpaid staff in your house, because that's not the role I came in for. I had once heard this very interesting story about how a lady was doing the driver's work, the housework, the this work, the that work. She had cancer and she passed away. And the very next day, the husband kept the nurse for his parents, he kept the nanny for his children, he kept the cook, he kept the driver, he kept all of the, 6 staff was hired when she passed away. So he was willing to do it after she passes away. Why not when she was alive, hai na? Bhargavi, is there a time by when one needs to finalize their niche as a life coach? As when we evolve, we go close to our topics, near to heart. Am I right? Bhargavi, I'm a big believer that your niche chooses you just the way you choose your niche. And I'll explain to you what this means. Whenever we start something, like let's say you're becoming a doctor, okay? And if you're becoming a doctor, at one point you've chosen to become a doctor. But as you keep studying, you start to realize, oh, I'm really good at this part of my body or this part of the body. Or I really am interested in cardiology. And I'm really actually interested in this particular artery in cardiology. And what I love is actually the surgery part. And with time, you keep discovering what it is that you absolutely love. So for anybody who rushes too fast to choose a niche, I always suggest the first 700 days, you should organically explore. Your job is to continuously keep exploring what it is you absolutely love. So see how that works for you. I know a lot of teachers do say you should know your niche, you should know your micro niche. But I'm a big believer that niche and micro niche come with expertise. It's the game of mastery. So in the beginning, how can you have mastery? It's like telling a first grade child that you should know whether you're going to be doing art or commerce in life. How? He doesn't even know what art and commerce is, correct? So I feel like in the beginning, you have to start with a far bigger niche, and with time, with mastery, your niche starts to tell yourself, or your niche starts to choose you, and you'll see repeatedly the same kind of client coming to you, same kind of issues. Like I remember at one point I became expert at mother-in-law, daughter-in-law issues. I became expert at helping women get financially free. I became expert at helping them with their identity. These were all topics that eventually I started to feel like I'm again and again helping women with this set of topics, and that's what makes me who I am today, right? So I don't think you should be in any hurry to find your niche, even though the world tells you that, unless you're spending money on Facebook ads and Instagram ads and YouTube ads. And if you're spending money on ads, you have to know your demographic, psychographic, because otherwise you'll end up wasting a lot of money and not targeting the right audience. But if you are growing organically in the beginning, you don't need to know your niche right in the beginning, sweetheart. You can just have a larger bandwidth or a topic base. For example, mine was life by design. Okay. So I help people design their life. Whoever wants to come can come and design their life with me. So it was a very broad niche compared to what it is now. Yeah. Ramya, what to do if someone gets our consultation but does not pay money? Ramya, Gayatri, my sweetheart, the rule is you always collect the money before the consultation. There's no other way to this. Okay, so if you notice, all of us teachers will collect the money for all of our courses in advance. True or not? Do we say you pay me after my course? No. So you don't do that. Even if I'm giving benefit to my client regarding EMI or something like that, I'll collect 60% advance for the first 3 sessions and then 40% for the next 3 sessions, so that I always have more money than what I have delivered to my client, because the world we live in. Otherwise, you'll only be chasing your clients. So it's always great to collect all of your money in advance. I've had days where client will be like, oh, I forgot to bring the money. I'm like, no worries, we'll postpone this session. You come back tomorrow once you have the money. I am not delivering and then chasing any client of mine. The rule is you have to pay before, which is what the rule is. So I think we have to become very particular about that. You can imagine in school fees or college fees or any place, any institution, especially when you're giving the product that's intangible, it's very important to collect the money in advance because services need that. Yeah. Rashmi is asking, I have currently undergone an operation and in a lot of pain right now, not able to manage my health. How do I go about it? Rashmi, patience. The word patient comes from patience, and we have to be so patient when we are a patient, because the problem is that we don't have any control over our body, right? Our body takes its time to heal, and as it's on its healing journey, you need to send it a lot of blessings, sweetheart. I mean, I can't even imagine the amount of pain you must be in right now. I'm sending you a lot of healing energies, and all my entire tribe is sending you healing energies. Rashmi, God bless you. May you get well really soon. But in the meantime, my suggestion is take one day at a time. Okay, some days will be easier than others. Some days will just be hard, and the hard days is when you have to learn to manage your frequency, where you have to hang in there and say positive things to yourself and remain, mind strong and determined that I am going to pass this and become super healthy super soon. And there will be days when you will just feel it's not working, and days when you feel like shayad aaj better hu, kal se at least 10% to better hu. And it's a daily journey. You Can Craft Yourself is asking, how to decide the content for your course? How long will you spend time for content creation? How to decide the content for your course is actually what I love doing. Is my start point always is, what is the pain points of my client and what is the aspirations of my client? Let's take example as confidence, let's say. Okay, so my client is struggling with confidence. My client's pain points is they're not able to speak to strangers, they're not able to make friends too easily, they don't feel comfortable being around other people, they feel they're not comfortable with public speaking, they're generally just not feeling comfortable in themselves as a person. So let's say these are the pain points. Then I'll take, what is their aspiration? Their aspiration is to walk into every party and be comfortable talking to everybody, feel like they have something to say, have interesting topics and opinions to talk about, know all of the public current affairs and this affairs and that affairs, so that they are knowledgeable, they are well traveled. All of these things help in their confidence building, correct? So now I know this is the set of problems they have, this is the set of aspirations they have. Now I will start creating content at base level. So the first set of my content will be theory. There are 3 kinds of confidence. There is outer confidence, there is inner confidence, there's core confidence, all of that I will talk about. So theory part. Then I will move it to the part where I will go into, okay, how to get more confident. So all the exercises, tools, these will be all my level 2 course material, where I've explained to them the theory. Now how to work on your outer confidence, your hair, your makeup, your clothes, your accessories, then how to work on your inner confidence, your body language, your eye contact, your shaking hand, your sitting, your posture, your all of that. Then your core confidence, what is your conversation with yourself when you are with yourself, so all of the things you tell yourself when you are entering a party or entering a place where you need to be confident, maybe your job, maybe your boss's cabin, wherever it is that you feel like I want that extra power boost, I want that extra, all of this then I will divide as my level 2. And then for my level 3, I will keep the practice part, where I will take them on a 3-month journey, where every week they will need to do all of what I'm asking them to do, see where they are failing, find out why they are failing, recheck, redo, till at the end of 3 months they're able to achieve whatever it is that they had paid me for in the first place. So level 1, level 2, level 3 gets decided with theory, the how, and then the making them do it. So when you have all of these 3 levels, that's how you create content. Now, how long should someone spend time creating content? Today, by the grace of God, it is rather fast, Meri Jaan. The truth is, with AI coming in, ChatGPT coming in, you take any course material and you explain all of this to ChatGPT. In 15 minutes, it will be able to send you back all that you need to deliver. Uske upar, always remember, ChatGPT should always be your first draft, not your final draft, which means you have to take the first draft of ChatGPT and then add your flavor, your tadka, your everything, so that it becomes more yours. You have to practice in your own life what you're going to teach, so that you can add those stories, those examples, those things which have practical knowledge, not just AI knowledge, correct? So when you do all of that, I feel like today somebody can have all of their content ready. I don't know, I'm going to say a week. So you can give it a shot. I can get my content ready, anything from level 1, level 2, level 3 to within a week, 2 weeks or a month. Maximum month for me to do all of the 3. How to deal with narcissistic family members? The only way you can deal with a narcissistic person is by empowering yourself, which means you have to start to ignore them and start to focus on yourself. So I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is we start waiting for the narcissistic person to become a nice person. Now, we wouldn't have labeled them narcissistic if they were nice, true or not. They don't have niceness. That's the missing element, correct? Now, why are we waiting for them to become nice? If they had to be nice, they would have already been nice. They are not nice. Once we realize that they are not nice, what is our part that we can play? I find ignoring the easiest way to deal with someone like that, because the more drama you do, they are PhD in drama. They can outbeat you in drama because they have lived their entire life creating all of this chaos that you're currently experiencing with them. So why beat a person in what they are PhD in? Why not take your power back, take the remote control of your life back and say, you know what, I'm not going to react. And the worst thing a narcissistic person can experience is when the other people stop reacting to them, because what they really need is importance and attention. And the minute that's something that goes missing, they don't know how to deal with that. So look at how you can start to take your power back. You know, I remember at one point in my life making a list of all the things that other people had control over in my life. Let's say my freedom, my money, my education, my day's calendar. Other people were deciding everything for me, you know, whether it was my parents or my in-laws or my husband, or other people were deciding everything for me. And slowly but surely, I took each one and said, what do I need to do in this to get my ability to control this part of my life myself? At one point, I remember just keeping an extra staff in my house, because I said, you know what, this extra sous chef or the secondary chef, so when the first chef goes, I have another person who can go into the cooking and I don't have to jump in to cook. Like that, I took all the small details of my life and took the power back from every single person that I had so easily given away my power to. So if you really want to deal with people who are especially toxic or negative, you want to take your power back. Unfortunately, the reason they have this kind of control, the reason they can hurt you, the reason they are, is because to some level, some part of your life's control is with them. Otherwise, they'll be like strangers, correct? So you just have to see how you want to work around that. How to stay motivated every day? I don't think anyone can stay motivated every single day. I think it's all about being supremely connected to your highest vision, mission, which is what will keep you going. Again, having said that, doesn't mean that every morning I wake up and go, oh, I'm going to change the world or I want to impact women. There are days when I'm just like, you know what, today's going to be an easy day. So I love dividing my month or my year into prep days, delivery days and rest days. I'm currently on a holiday. Last 1 week I haven't worked at all. I've been just having a blast. We're 60 of us in Spain right now, enjoying the whole retreat that has been planned for us. It's been phenomenal. The week before that, had you seen me, I was literally working till the last hour of me catching my flight. So it was madness. I was doing a 9 to 6 Saturday, Sunday, and then Sunday night I was leaving. So it was so crazy because I overworked myself for the whole of month of March. So it's all, I think, in how you need to start to think is you have to start to think in blocks. Okay, so this is my preparation time. Now I'm going to go deep preparation, which means complete focus, no distraction, maybe remove Instagram from my phone for a week and just really prep myself into becoming the person or the delivery that I want to do. Then when I'm delivering, I have a certain other energy. Then when I'm resting, I have certain other energy. And when I'm in rest, I don't guilt trip myself to, oh, why am I not working? Which is what I feel like the biggest mistake we make is when we are overworking, we start to think, oh, why am I not resting enough? When we are resting, we start to think, why am I not working enough? Life is not about balance, which is something that we've been told again and again, and we've started to believe this lie that life is about balance. I have never met a successful person who's told me that out of balance they've created success. It's always out of obsession. So when you want to be obsessed, what do you have to do? You have to keep on, life becomes like seasons. Okay, right now I'm going through the spring of my life. Now I've entered the winter of my life. Now I'm coming back into the summer of my life. And when you start to understand the seasons of your life, then you act according to the seasons. Then you don't look for motivation. You realize this is this period for this. And then instead of being guilty towards whatever it is that you want to be guilty towards, you start to make better choices knowing that this is the season. Women are cyclical. For us, 1 week after our periods to 1 week before our periods is two different woman itself. True or not? You know, you are so charged up and extroverted after your periods. 1 week before, you need to cave. You need to step away. You need to look at why you cranky or why you hungry or why you know. That time, if you're fasting and you start to do removal of carb, you are going to get even more cranky and angry with people, right? So you have to know your cycles. The more you understand the moon cycle, the body cycle, the seasonal cycle, the way you work, the more you understand all of that, the deeper and better your motivation will become. Rather than pushing yourself, start to let your mission magnetically attract you towards it. Nalini, you are looking fabulous. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Nalini. Oh, nice. Sneha is asking how to be less emotional and more thick-skinned in order to take care of myself. Sneha, one of my biggest understandings have been that it's okay to have a reaction. It's not okay to live in it. Now, I'll tell you what I mean by that. The first time I hear someone has done or said something to me, being human, I get hurt. Okay. Now, it's up to me how fast can I process this hurt. So, sometimes it just takes me 6 hours to process the hurt. Sometimes 4 hours, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 15 minutes. I think the very important thing to understand is what's your timeline like, right? Now, what used to take me 3 days of Cold War with Puneet now takes me maybe 15 minutes of saying, you know what, just let me step back, let me rethink this and come back to you. And in 15 minutes, sometimes I can fix it. The other day, something happened and I just took about maybe 45 minutes to recover from it. I don't even need him to say anything to me now. I just need to process it on why would someone have done that, you know. And I think it's very important. I remember studying this concept called under-over, which I really like, which is that the person who's hurting you is not actually hurting you. They are just prioritizing their joy over yours. Do they have the right to prioritize their joy over yours, or do they owe you your joy? Once you start to understand that every single person is motivated to prioritize their joy. You know, I've told Puneet I'm going to get ready in 15 minutes. But I'm sipping my coffee and enjoying my Pakistani play and I take 45 minutes instead of 15 minutes. What have I done? I've prioritized my joy. Now, he can shout and scream at me if he wants to. Or he can start to understand that every single human being has the right to prioritize their joy over yours. Now, he needed me ready in 15 minutes. I decided to take 45 minutes. If he understands that what my motivation was, then he will not be as upset. So I think if you really want to become thick-skinned, you have to start to understand and allow the world to prioritize their joy. If Puneet took, let's say, an hour extra at the golf course and he sat down with friends and had beer, even though he had promised me he'll be home in 4 hours, I have to understand he prioritized his joy. And I feel like one of the biggest mistakes we've made as human beings is we don't understand that people should be allowed to prioritize their joy. Now, they can always compensate. I'm not saying that it's right what they're doing, but at least you get the ability to understand that, you know what, It's okay. Every single one of us, if given the choice, would prioritize our joy, including ourselves. Then when if someone else does it, we get hurt. Why? So just see how that makes sense to you, okay? Komal is asking, I want to change my money receiving frequency. I'm trying, but old limitations keep coming back and I can't make money, something that's getting messed up. Komal, I would love for you to join my money manifestation challenge if you haven't already, because it's one of the deepest programs you'll go through to open up your abundance portal. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask you, start to not chase money. Change your frequency by increasing your drive and your desires and your hunger. So one of the ways I feel like you can change the thermostat of your money. All of us have a money thermostat, which is, this is the amount of money that gives us security. Anything above that is abundance. Anything below that is scarcity. If we go into the below line, we do whatever it takes. Let's say you're used to having 20,000 rupees in your bank account, okay? Now, if it goes under 20,000, you'll do whatever it takes to make it 20,000. The minute it hits 25,000, 30,000, you'll start spending a little more lavishly. So what happens is we get stuck with one thermostat number, which gives us security. Now, you want to change your thermostat number, you need to change your level of desire. Which means you can turn your 20,000 into 40,000 by starting to look at life a little differently on where and how you would like to increase your abundance. Let's say I decide that I want to keep one more staff. His salary is 15,000 rupees, right? Now I will have only 5,000 rupees left, which means I need to increase it by 15,000 for me to still maintain my 20,000, correct? And like that, you keep increasing your desires. Now, I know in a world that we live, spirituality or religion talks about not having, too many ambitions or desires or drive. The truth is, in the economic world, if you want to work with your money energy, you have to have more deeper desires. What more do you want? What else do you want? Why do you want this? And I think not having attachment to your desires is one thing. To not have desires at all, I have never been able to understand that, because the difference between an animal and us is our desires, right? The animal needs only food and reproduction. The human needs reproduction, food, clothes, house, shelter, travel, vacations, and whatnot and what else, right? So I feel like we have to, because at one point I had to afford all my courses because I loved studying. That increased my deepest desires and drive, right? Puneet said, I can't keep paying for these courses that you keep going for. I said, okay, fine, no problem. I'm going to start to pay for my own courses. That means I need to charge my clients. That means I need to start to do this professionally. All of that you need to start to look at. If you want to change your relationship with money, start to ask yourself, how can I add more value in this world? And start to earn money through that. And what are you going to do with that money that you earn? Your motivation will come with what you do with the money, not the money itself. So when somebody tells me, I want 1 crore of rupees, why? Why do you want 1 crore of rupees? What will you do with the crore of rupees? If you don't know what you're going to do, you're not going to get it. You have to know for what you are doing, for what it is that 1 crore, how will it change your life? What is it going to be? Like, I remember at one point staying in hotels like this. This is the Belmond in Palma, one of the most expensive hotels. You know, maybe the most expensive hotel of Spain, or at least the city Mallorca. You're wanting to afford these kind of hotels, you have to earn a lot of money, true or not? So it was my inspiration that whenever I go into a city, I should stay in the best hotel in that city. I want to experience life at that level, you know, and it's such a joy to be able to do that today. I have no guilt or anything in saying that, yeah, I love living in the best of hotels. I love paying for experiences. I'm not someone who's very materialistic, which means I don't care about bags and shoes and diamonds and collecting all of those things, but I love experiences. So anytime somebody tells me to spend on experiences like this, super. Let's go right to the bottom and see what's happening there. Neeta is asking, hi, you're such an inspiration to me. God bless you, Neeta. I'm very emotional. If I'm a life coach, will I be able to guide my client logically? What should I change in myself to be stronger first and then take it further? Neeta, it is your emotions that I want you to take as what makes you different from everyone else. In a world where we have become insensitive to people's pain, how wonderful that you are still sensitive and you still care. And you know what? When your client feels cared for more than even your competency, I feel like that is a far superior place to coach from. Like, I want my client to know that, you know what? Just leave all your pain with me. I don't want you to carry back your pain. I want to take all your pain away. So when I'm speaking to my client, I'm like, all your negativity, all your pain, everything, I want to just leave it with me. I'm not scared of my client's pain. I'm not scared that I am going to, not be able to guide them logically. I want you to start to know this, that you know what? The fact that you still feel it is what makes you you. So don't try to change that. Yes, keep working on your competency so that you know that after you have cared for them, you have shown them your love, you also are able to give them the path that they need to walk on. And in coaching especially, the path is never created by the coach. The path is always created by the client, which means my job is only to show you, look, let's say, somebody can't decide between should I become a baker, should I become a coach, or should I become an interior designer? And they have these three options. My job is not to tell them, no, you should be coach because I'm coach. No. My job is to show them that as a baker, these are your resources. This is what your timings will look like. This is the kind of money you can earn. This is the kind of name and admiration you will get. As a coach, this is what you will get. As an interior decorator, this is what you will get. Now, your children are really small. Are you sure you want to become an interior designer? Because you know what? This is the problems that you may have. But now, as a baker, at least when they go to school, all of your baking time can happen when they are in school. So I'm going to show them that how their life and all of this fits in. Then who's going to make the final choice? The client, right? So even if my client is suffering through something and I'm feeling like I'm very emotionally attached to that, first thing we have to do is to learn to deal with the fact that all growth lives in suffering. Okay, once we understand that, like the reason why I don't carry my client's pain is because I know that the soul came on earth to experience the pain and suffering so that it could grow. If I take away my client's pain and suffering, if I take away my children's pain and suffering, if I take away my spouse's pain and suffering, you know what God is going to do? He's going to increase the suffering to the level where I can't take it away. So everybody grows through pain and suffering. Our soul journey is that when the small things happen, let the children suffer, let the people around you suffer, hold space for them, be an angel, give them the strength, but don't take away their problems. And I feel as a coach, we get to be angels in people's lives, which is so very beautiful, isn't it? Alright, Life by Joy is asking, how can I prioritize my joy over my commitment? How can I prioritize my joy over my commitment? No, you learn to bring in joy inside your commitment. You don't prioritize your joy over your commitment. Okay, so what you do is the world lives in two spaces: have to and choose to. The have to people also follow their commitment. The choose to people also follow the commitment. Only difference between the two is the have to people do it by complaining about it. The committed people or the joyful people do it by saying, now that I'm going to do it, let me do it with all of the joy and the fun that I am. Commitment we all have. Life is all about fulfilling our commitments, true or not. And the more commitments you fulfill, the more successful you become, the more admired you become, the more respected you become. So it's not about prioritizing joy over your commitment. It is about learning to bring joy into your commitment. Got it? Renuka, Pooja, could you please tell me your journey and how you started this? Renu actually. Is it Renuka? Renuka real or Renu? Okay. So Renuka, I think for me what happened was because I got married really young at 18 and I did not get my education. I started this because I was looking for answers for myself. I started traveling the world. I started going and doing different courses, and that really helped me understand that there was a philosophy to life that we as children in school are not taught. And so I feel like for me especially, when I started to learn this philosophy and it started to transform my marriage, my life, my parenting style, my opinion on the world and the way I was starting to become happier, that's when I realized that why is the world not learning this? Like, why were we not taught this in school or in college and all of that? Why am I only getting to know all of this information post my 30s, right? And had I known this information, what different and drastic decisions I would have made much earlier and saved myself years of the suffering and the pain and the crying that I went through. True? So I think that's how my journey started. And as I started to find answers for myself, I started to notice my friends had started to call me up and ask me, sweetheart, how do you do this? And how do you manage that? And, you're rocking here and you're rocking there. And I started to help them, and I realized that they were using the same tools and their life was also changing, which means it wasn't me, it was what I was doing. That means there was a methodology to it. And therefore, I created what I call now the Life by Design methodology, where I started to teach others on what I was doing that had changed my life, that can also change there. And what I've loved is that the work works once you work it. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. All my coaches now use that methodology to transform lives of other people, and the kind of results we get is mind-blowing. So what I've learned is that there is a philosophy to life. Now, religion used to do a brilliant job of giving us that philosophy at one point, but I feel like with years it's got diluted because of the number of people that came in with their personal agenda and started to create fear rather than faith. And when you operate from fear, you can never be too happy, because it has to be something beyond your own energies. So I feel like the methodology today, or the philosophy that we have to go for, is if you are strong in your religious practices, if you are strong in your spirituality, then you're good to go. But if you have, those have gotten weakened and you haven't replaced it with some sort of coaching, then you're going to suffer a lot. So therefore, I keep narrating to people that what I really needed was how to think. And I feel like coaches do a brilliant job of explaining to women or people, or, I think that we now have started to create what I call the life manual. Life doesn't come with a manual, right? But what if it did? And I think there's a certain section of people which we call coaches, or all of the umbrella words, psychologists, psychiatrists, healers. I put all of them in the same thing, therapists and, pranic healers, and that kind of person, and that kind of system, and that kind of NLPs, and that entire umbrella is just giving people a new philosophy. Oh, Balbon moments. Thank you. So sweet. Simran Kaur Chabra. Ma'am, how should we improve our communication, speaking skills and clarity of thought? Simran, there's a lot that can be done. One of my best suggestions that I got from one of the teachers I was following was, start to record yourself for, let's say, 2 minutes. Okay? Go back and just, without looking at yourself, hear your own audio and start to look at what does your audio make you feel as a person. How's your tonality, how's your pronunciation, how's your clarity of thought. You can keep listening to those 2 minutes. Let's say you take any topic. Let's say you take topic clouds, okay, and clouds becomes your topic, and you have to explain to a 5-year-old child all about whatever you have information on clouds. For 2 minutes, you record that, listen to the audio, then forget the audio, put yourself on mute and watch your body language. Watch the video and watch how it is that you speak. What is it, can you feel like your body language is also speaking the content? There's a very important thing to align what you speak with the way you are in your body. Your energy of your body and the energy of your topic must match, right? So you watch yourself and see yourself. What is it? A lot of people talk like this. You talk like this, you're going to just close all energies. There will be no transformation because you've blocked the energies. The energies have to flow from your aura into the other person's aura, right? So just watch your video and look at, what can I do better? Can I make better eye contact? Can I use my hands better? Can I, just get into all of that. And then once you've done the audio video, do the transcript, okay? And look at how can you improve the language itself. The vocabulary, the words, the choice of words. One of the most important concepts that I have learned recently, rather, is, can you say it in lesser number of words? You know, some of us go round and round and round and round in explaining a concept where we're just repeating ourselves. Can you take that concept and explain it in 1 minute? Like in Insta Lives, I don't get enough time, right, to be able to explain something in too much detail. I have to answer every question in less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So I want to make sure that you get it without me having to repeat the same concept 50,000 times. True? So I have no choice but to start to practice the part of how can I explain this concept in the fastest way possible. And I feel like just that in itself makes you so interesting. When you can say something in lesser number of words, then you are getting what is the most valuable asset in the world right now, which is attention span. You never take someone's attention span for granted. That you're sitting here for 1 hour and listening to me, it's your attention span that you're giving me. The biggest gift you give to anyone in the world right now is your attention span. Whether it is your spouse, your children, your Instagram, who are you giving your attention to? You become mindful of that, you will improve your life. Now, if somebody is giving you their attention, it is your job to improve your communication. Correct or no? So see how you can use audio, video and transcripts to improve your communication skills. Of course, joining Toastmasters, starting to do public speaking, starting to read more. I mean, reading helps a lot of your vocabulary and your communication. All of these things help. Shivani, my day is always made when I listen to you. Thank you, Shivani. At the age of 18, you started your journey. I got married at the age of 18. I started this journey about 10 years later. So 2006 is when I got introduced to the movie The Secret and all of this work. About 2010 is when I went and started doing my courses in America. 2011, 4th of November is when I launched my company. And it's been about 15 years now. Purvika, how can we clearly measure and know that I am changing internally and my patterns are changing? Oh, Purvika, that's actually quite easy. Your reaction turns into responses when you start to change, which means you have a lot more control on your emotions and the way you are responding to people. The easiest measure for me to know how evolved someone is how much power do other people have on them. So, if I'm an unevolved person, you're just coming and sitting here can insult me. You don't even have to say anything. I'll feel insulted. I get upset. Oh, she didn't even ask me. Okay. The more someone can upset you, the faster someone can upset you, the lesser evolved you are as a human being. What is the most evolved version? No matter what someone does, even someone can come and abuse you and you have no reaction because you understand they're just projecting a part of themselves onto you, right? So how much control you have on your emotional being is a direct measure of your internal state transformation or changes, okay? Rushad, you're in the house. My lovely photographer from Prague is in the house. So thank you, Rushad, for all the gorgeous pictures you've clicked of us for the last 4 days. It has been such a pleasure to have your own photographer walking around with you and clicking gorgeous pictures. I'll share 2, 3. Yesterday he took one on the swing, which was so lovely. I fell in love with it. I even shared the Insta Live poster was made from a picture by Rushad. So I'm going to share those 3 pictures and you can all let me know how the pictures are. Okay, I can start to see there's a lot of noise coming. Maybe I'll start walking towards my room now and also show you a little bit of the hotel. Thank you. Let's see if I can show you the garden from here. This is the beautiful garden. The beautiful trees at the back. Kavita's asking, where are you? I'm in a city called Mallorca. Look at this. And I'm going to start to meet my friends. Rushad, you want to say hello to my Insta Live people?
Hello, Insta
And that
Live
is
people.
the beautiful
How's it going?
Ula.
Hey, yeah. She's actually really wonderful, by the way, so you guys are lucky when you're tuned in.
I'll catch you.
All
Alright, so I'm just gonna keep walking and seeing who all come on the way. Let me show you the pool. The pool is so beautiful. I'll also keep answering questions in the meantime. I have both my hands full. Oh yeah, better to use the staircase. People say women are complete when she becomes a mother. What about a woman who cannot be a mother? Feeling even incomplete, even your lives told so much about mothers. I don't know from where we get these concepts that people say women are complete when she becomes a mother. I think these were great sentences when housewives and mothers wanted to give themselves that feeling of completeness. I think every woman is born complete, whether a mother or not, true or not. Okay? Now, as you start to play more roles in the world, if you start to play more roles in the world, with time, yes, you start to feel like you're contributing more, right? It's all about from where you'll get your growth. Some people get their growth through being a mother. Some people get their growth by becoming a businesswoman. Some people get their growth through, so we get our growth through different places, right? Motherhood is one of them. I feel like earlier on, this was the most important role, and rightly so, because you're creating the next generation. However, that is the only role and it's the only way to complete ourselves. That's very unfair. Oh, I'm walking and talking, so that is the gorgeous pool, if you can see. It's such a gorgeous area. So please, if anybody tries to reduce you to being just a mother, just a housewife, just a this thing, that is their problem, not yours. If you can be a mother, that's fabulous. If you can't be a mother, there's so many other roles you can play. Isn't it? Yes, Pooja, I'm a single woman and I can relate to this. God bless you. Mommy Sulagana is asking, what according to you is the best topic that people these days seek guidance for or want to listen to? Please give me some idea. Best topic is anything where you can solve someone's pain point. So losing weight is a great topic. Loneliness is a great topic. Helping people become happier is a great topic. Learning emotional maturity is a great topic. I don't know if there are topics that are better than others. I think it is who is it you want to help and how deep can you go. It's the mastery on your topic that brings money to you. It is not just the choice of topic. Of course, there are trends. These days, depression, sadness, loneliness are trending, right? But I do feel like it's eventually the money lives in the mastery. Pooja, please stop and speak as you are getting tired. Yeah, sorry, I climbed the whole cliff right now. So, no doubt, I sat down. Don't worry. Thank you so much for noticing. Take a breath, dear. Look what all I have to do for all of you. Now I'm sitting. Don't worry. Now it's like gorgeous, the whole area. I'm going to start to run. Oh, it's already 12:52, is it? I'm going to start to run, but thank you so much for coming. If I haven't been able to answer your question, it's only because I didn't reach it. I would have loved to. This place really is beautiful. Just look at that. Yes, I was sitting there and meditating on those round chairs. I have chosen to be child-free, and that's perfectly fine. And let nobody tell you that you need to do anything differently from what you choose to do. How to attain mastery? Practice, practice, practice. You have to spend years. Mastery does not come overnight. Mastery is what it takes time, it takes effort, it takes money, it takes energy. Mastery is what people don't today have the patience to do. Fast food versus... Yes, absolutely. So if you want to gain mastery, you need to put in effort, sweetheart. You need to put in everything you've got. You have to get obsessed with your topic for 2 years. That's how you gain mastery. Oh, thank you. Enjoy your trip. Thank you. Yes. I will continue to keep sharing. I am traveling tomorrow to my children and then I'm going off from there to America for 10 days. But I'll stay in touch with all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Take care. Bye. Loads of love. Oh, let's click our picture. Forgot the picture. You know what you need to do. Wait, let me first pose for all of you near the pool. All you have to do is tag me, share what was the biggest learning from today so that I can share it in my stories, okay? My husband will be looking from somewhere and saying, please don't drop the iPad into the pool. I can't complete the heart because I'm holding. Wait, let me see if I can. Oh, managed. Bye, ciao. Thank you for coming. Loads of love.